Hello, everyone, and welcome. We are so excited to have you all joining us today. My name is Kara Georgi, and I am in the privileged space of being able to help Meryl Levine with working on our Birth Parent National Network. And we're super excited for today's webinar of Parent Advisory Councils and Authentic Partnerships, Part 2. So if you missed Part 1, you can find that recording on the Alliance's website. But I can assure you that you are in for quite a treat today, and we encourage you to type in questions or thoughts we go through today's presentation. In addition to myself leading the call today, I have the wonderful honor of being able to work with Edward and Tori as our co-facilitators from Arizona and South Carolina. They have committed to helping facilitate all of these wonderful presentations throughout 2020 with the BPNN. So we're super excited to have them both here. I'm going to turn it over to Edward to go over today's agenda. Edward.
Thank you, Kara. We're so happy to have you all here today to learn about this exciting work. Today, Meryl will kick off today by explaining the customized Parent Advisory Council technical assistance offered by the Alliance. When she finishes, we will move into the Parent Advisory Council presentations. You will have an opportunity to hear the unique approaches each state is taking to authentically partner with parents. We are asking you to type your questions in as the presentations are occurring. We will then open up for questions for the final 15 minutes of today's webinar. Now I'd like to turn the program back over to Kara. Kara?
Thanks so much, Edward. And so for today, what I'd like to do is start off with a poll to see who is in the audience today. So I'm going to encourage you on your screen, you should be able to check, and please note for your role, you could select more than one choice. Maybe you're a parent with lived experience navigating child welfare. Maybe you're a parent partner, coach, mentor, or ally, a foster or resource parent, a kinship caregiver, an attorney, a caseworker, a community service provider, or other. And I encourage you to feel free to chat that in the chat box if you're a professional or if there's another hat that you feel would better describe you. For those of you who are new to the Birth Parent National Network, it is a network that is comprised of organizations, birth parents, and individual stakeholders. So if you are not yet a member, I encourage you to check out that information, and we'll have information throughout today's presentation of how you can become a member with us and learn more about the customized technical assistance that the Alliance offers. We'll be having a handout available for you as well. So we'll give this poll one more minute or so, finish it up. And it looks like we have quite a mix of people in our audience today between parents and those who are working in the field. So welcome, everyone. We're going to end that polling for today. And we'll share those results so that everyone can see. So again, we have many professionals. We have some parent partners, foster parents, and lots of people who work and support families and communities. And we appreciate that very much that you're joining us today. And so what I'd like to do next is talk to you a little bit about the birth and foster parent relationships. In our work with parents, we are doing some things with our birth and foster parent partnership. And one of the things that we committed to with that partnership is that we wanted to create some tools that you could use in your community. And these are new, freshly released tools that are available for you. These tools include executive summary that explains some of this work. There also is a state and local leaders guide to building a strong policy and practice foundation, and also a relationship guide. These tools are intended to be used out in the community, and I really encourage you to take a look at them because I think one of the most beautiful things about them is it really gets into the heart of relationship, which we all know is very important in our work with children and families. In addition, I want to really share with the relationship guide that there's different charts that kind of talk through the process of relationships, such as building the relationship, supporting it, keeping it strong while working in the system and working for reunification, and keeping the relationship strong after the family leaves the child welfare system. We really encourage you to check out these free resources that you can download off our website. In addition, the Alliance, when COVID hit, decided that they were going to commit to something called the Alliance Resiliency Project. We have several different groupings of parents that we help support, and you can see here with our Caring Conversations, we hold these weekly with those groups of parents. They include the Birth Parent National Network, the Birth and Foster Parent Partnership, and also the Birth Parent Advisory Council for Casey Family Programs. We have these weekly conversations to talk about how COVID's impacting us and the issues that we face, along with talking about our touchpoint parents, which are peer supports to parents and providing virtual support, social and emotional support, linking to resources and other things for all parents of our BPNN, BFP, and the BPAC. If you, again, are not yet familiar, we'll have information in the chat as we go through today's presentation. But again, check out our website, learn more about this really unique and special project, which is an opportunity to really build strong families and communities as we go through this time. I'm now going to turn it over to Takoria so she can get us started on today's presentation. Takoria.
Good day, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us. It is my pleasure to introduce the team from Georgia. So from the Division of Family and Children's Services from the state of Georgia, we have Natalie Towns, Section Director, and with her, Lindsay Dale, Christy Garner, and Deidre Roundtree. Now, Christy and Deidre are Parent Advisory Council members, and they are members of the BPNN. We will encourage you to type in the chat if you have any questions, and we will be taking those questions at the end of the presentation. Now, Natalie, it's your turn.
Thanks, Takoria, for that introduction and welcome. And hello, everyone. Thanks for joining in to listen more about parent advisory councils and specifically what we've done in Georgia with our fairly newly formed Georgia Parent Advisory Council. So again, my name is Natalie Towns. I am the Section Director of the Prevention and Community Support Section within the Georgia Division of Family and Children's Services. So we are located within the state's Child Welfare Agency. And so the idea of developing a Parent Advisory Council actually started back prior to my joining the agency in 2017, when some staff within our section attended a few national presentations, one of which the National Alliance was the presenter, and they were talking about developing parent advisory councils. And we decided that that was something that we indeed wanted to explore. We also attended a training that was held by the National Family Support Network that gave a little bit more in-depth information. It was an all-day training about developing a parent advisory council. And then lastly, you know, it's always good to check in with your friends from around the nation to see what they're doing and how they did it. And so we checked in with Arizona actually, and we asked them, what was your Arkansas. And we asked the director of the Children's Trust Fund in Arkansas, you have a parent advisory council. What did you do? How did it go? How did you go about setting it up? And that's actually how we got the best idea ever of partnering with the Alliance, because Arkansas had previously partnered with the Alliance to develop their parent advisory council. So one of the first things that we did, and we talked with Arkansas about this, is we decided about the funding for the Parent Advisory Council. So within our section, we have several sources of funding to support our work. We have CBCAP, Community-Based Child Abuse Prevention Funds, federal funds. We have TANF funds, we have state funds. We also have Promoting Safe and Stable Family funds. We decided to use a combination of CBCAP, TANF, and state funds to support our Parent Advisory Council efforts. So next, we contracted with the Alliance in late 2018 to help us get started. Around this same time, we actually wanted to make sure that we would have the support of leadership. Of course, I know everyone is aware that different initiatives and groups are extremely more successful when you have the support and backing of your leadership. Of course, my immediate supervisor was very supportive of this. And I spoke with our division director, who actually was just coming in at that time. He was a huge proponent of having the parent voice present within the division and was extremely supportive of this. And then they allowed us the opportunity to present to our division's board meeting. And we were able to actually get the support, a resounding support from our board on moving forward with developing the Parent Advisory Council. And so after After contracting with the Alliance, starting that contract in 2018, the Alliance suggested that we establish a planning committee. That committee was to help us determine the different things that we needed to, the different decision points that we need to consider as we developed our Parent Advisory Council. And that, that ranged from what kind of parents that we want on the group, talking about different types of stipends or honorariums, whether we would provide childcare and travel, the number of meetings, the purpose, thinking about the application and the interview. The planning committee helped with all those types of things. And then just to give you an idea about who was on the planning committee had members from our section, included myself, my deputy director, and Lindsay, who's on the call. We actually had 2 child welfare case managers on the planning committee as well. Most importantly, we were able to have a couple of parents on the committee. And then lastly, of course, we had the great support from the Alliance on that planning committee with us as well. Then I think one of the other huge factors in our success in developing our Parent Advisory Council is that we do have Lindsay Dale as our dedicated Parent Advisory Council staff liaison. And so she kind of coordinates for us all of the activities related to the Parent Advisory Council. She actually also is the main liaison with the Alliance when we need to get or coordinate technical assistance or logistics with them. So next, of course, we recruited the council members. The planning committee helped us with that. We put out to our networks of organizations that we work with in the prevention community that we were looking for all types of parents. We were looking for birth parents. We were looking for foster parents. We were looking for adoptive parents. We were looking for kin caregivers. We actually also did a webinar to give more information to parents and to organizations about what we hope to do with our Parent Advisory Council and how we hope those parents would be able to participate. As parents completed applications, we actually held interviews. Those interviews were conducted by members of the planning committee, and we selected our first members in early 2019, and we had our first orientation meeting in June 2019. Next slide.
Hi, I'm Lindsay Dale, and like Natalie said, I am the point person for our Parent Advisory Council members and the Alliance. And like she also mentioned, we had initially planned to only recruit birth parents and those that had used prevention services in their communities. But after speaking to DFAC's leadership, they wanted us to expand on that idea and include any type of family, families with DFAC's involvement, adoptive parents, foster parents, and kin caregivers. We decided it was important to have those different perspectives to improve prevention and prevention services in Georgia. I'm going to turn it over to Deidre, one of our PAC members, and she's going to speak about the importance of community-based services for families.
Hi, I'm Deidre. Just being a part of this group and those community-based services helps ensure that our voices as parents and caregivers are being heard, and that the programs that are available that parents do know about them, and that they're being effective, and that I can be a part of it being changes. If there are any changes that need to be happen, I, as part of the group, can help help those changes in a better way for parents to be able to either get hold to them or be able to access them better. And also just to be able to advocate and let other parents know about the different resources that are here, either in our area or statewide or abroad, so that they don't feel left out and so that they have a point of contact, and I can be that point of contact for them.
Thank you, Deidre. And we're going to move on to our next slide. And Christy, you were going to take over this one for us.
excuse me, Christy, could I ask you to unmute?
That would
Thank you.
probably help, huh? Hi, the role of the Parent Advisory Council, we work as partners with the Division of Prevention and Community Support section. We inform about the services and practices and how they're going to help understand the needs and service gaps that are in our community. We advocate on behalf of parents and the other caregivers to promote improvements in the welfare system, and specifically regarding the prevention services. We want to make sure that we do what we can on the front end and preventing any further need there. We model the value of parent engagement with the division, and we ensure that there are strong parent voices in shaping programs, services, and strategies to result in better outcomes for children and their families.
Deidre, can you take on this one for us?
Yeah, so some of our vision and our goals that we have here, one of the things we want to do is to build a relationship with families and just ensure that parents have a voice, and also to bring awareness to other services that are available, such as any child abuse or any strategies that they may need to help deal with that. We also participate in trainings and in different events to help us build supportive communities, and also to help increase awareness and also the protective factors so parents can have resources to that as they are needed. We also have provide them with written material. We help our input in either social media, written material, or anything they feel that needs to be necessary to enhance the program and to enhance parents, and to make sure that what we're presenting is effective to the parents and that they understand it, and that they can also be able to relate to it on a day-to-day basis, and the resources that are out there that their parents have access to them as well, and they know where to go to look for them.
Okay, so I was going to talk a little bit about our partnership with the Children's Trust Fund Alliance. Our current contract with the Alliance provides expert support provided by Kara and Meryl and Trish. They are so knowledgeable, and they have been a very valuable resource for me and the Parent Advisory Council members. Having this contract with the Alliance, it's helped us help support the parents' needs they help us pay out honorariums, and they help us reimburse for travel. The honorariums and travel payments help show that the PAC members are important, and we think their time is valuable. So we are very grateful that we are able to do that for them. The Alliance also assists us with meeting logistics, and they help us to develop relevant agendas. So we have been very grateful for their guidance.
So I wanted to give everyone just a quick idea of some of the things that our Parent Advisory Council have been involved in to date and have had input in to date. Again, realizing that we really just started in June of 2019. So this has been a quick process. And one thing that I will say is that because we had such good support from our leadership, they've really been requested a lot. We kind of have to protect their time a little bit to the extent that they're requested to participate in so many things. And that's actually a great problem to have, because, it could have went the other way. We could have had a Parent Advisory Council, and we could have had, been looking for activities for them to be involved in, and that has not at all been the case for us. And so, for example, our state just developed our new child abuse and neglect prevention plan, which was led by our section and Prevent Child Abuse Georgia. And our Parent Advisory Council members attended those regional meetings to help with that plan development. We also, since we are a section that funds prevention organizations around the state. We have our Parent Advisory Council actually helping us to review those proposals for grant funding that we receive from organizations. Our Parent Advisory Council has helped us and given us feedback on public awareness campaigns. For example, we have recently developed a campaign to encourage parents to seek out help when they need it. And we had our Parent Advisory Council members to participate in a focus group to run some ideas and some concepts by them to see how well they thought it would resonate with parents in the community. Again, as I mentioned, we are part of the Child Welfare Agency, and so we have involved our parents in the annual Progress and Services Report meetings, the APSR meetings, for those of you who are familiar with child welfare. And again, something that was really exciting for us, we have an annual Child Welfare Summit in our state, and a few of our Parent Advisory Council were able to participate on a panel to talk about the work that they have been doing since joining the Parent Advisory Council. We developed a coronavirus resource document, and we obviously wanted to get our feedback from our Parent Advisory Council about how well that resonated with parents. Did it really have the information that parents needed? And also, we have a member of our Parent Advisory Council who's on our division, Families First Prevention Services Act, or FFPSA Leadership Advisory Council. Our division director has a brainstorming group that he has invited 2 of our Parent Advisory Councils to participate on. We have a part of our division that's focused on family support, or those families who have been substantiated for cases of abusive neglect. And our division deputy director actually developed that external steering committee and invited 2 of our parents to be on that. Of course, we have parents who are involved in the National Birth and Foster Parent Partnership that was organized by the Alliance. And we have a parent on our statewide Prevent Child Abuse Georgia Advisory Board. So this is just a few things. I just wanted to give you guys an idea of all the things that our parents have been involved in this short year and a month that they have been in existence. Next slide. So lastly, I wanted to give you all an idea of some of the different successes, challenges, and lessons learned that we have experienced during this past year of having our awesome Parent Advisory Council. So one of the good things, of course, is having that dedicated funding source. And so again, as the Children's Trust Fund entity within our division, we have those dedicated funding sources, which include, again, CBCAP, Community-Based Child Abuse Prevention Funding, which is a federal funding source, TANF, the Temporary Assistance to Needy Families funding source, and then we have a state allocation. So we were able to use all of those funding sources to, number one, pay for our contract with the Alliance that helped pay for the honorariums, the travel cost, and just having that support for our Parent Advisory Council. Again, as I mentioned in the beginning, having that dedicated staff person is essential. Essential to us as we have many other projects and other things that we do within our office, to have one person who is that main person to be the liaison with the Alliance, and most importantly, be the liaison with the Parent Advisory Council members when they have questions or issues or things that they want to talk about. And one of the things that we can't express enough is the technical assistance and having this contract with the Alliance. Having a Parent Advisory Council was a great thing, but it takes a lot of planning, and a lot of things pop up that you don't necessarily anticipate. And having that support from the Alliance from the start was integral, I believe, to our success. Also, the planning committee, having those different points of view to help us plan the Parent Advisory Council, from the case managers, the parents. We actually had the reunification manager from the division as well that I forgot to mention earlier. So we had a lot of people and a lot of different perspectives to contribute to the planning process. again, that commitment from leadership was essential as well. One of the things that helped us out with this, especially being in the child welfare agency, is of course the federal government is very supportive of having parent involvement. And so this only helped our efforts when we went to the division, the director, when we went to the board, and we were able to say, you know, this is one of the things that the feds really want us to have. They really want us to have the parent voice. They want us to have parent engagement. And you know, this was kind of an afterthought. I didn't intend to do this, but it worked out well. Our agency, again, has been the child welfare agency. We have that annual progress and services report. And we decided to have a measure on the Parent Advisory Council and our Child and Family Services Plan. So every year we report out to the feds how we're doing in the APSR. And that helps with continuity. It's stated that we will be doing this. We report it to the feds, so they're expecting it. And our agency, the whole division, knows that this is going on. And then lastly, and this is where I'll let Christy step in for just 1 second to talk about how we decided to have birth, foster, and adoptive parents. And specifically, I'll just ask Christy about her experience of being on the Parent Advisory Council as a foster and adoptive parent, and what's that's like, especially working with birth parents and making sure that we work with birth parents. Christy?
Hey, I have really appreciated the opportunity to be on the council and to try to help foster more of relationships with birth parents across the state. I think it's very important that foster parents work alongside of the birth families so that reunification can occur. In my experiences, my husband and I, we've been foster parents for a little over 11 years now, and it is a better experience when, you know, when we take our steps into making sure that the relationship between the child and the parents stays intact as much as possible. Even though the child is physically in our home and in foster care, we want to make sure that the birth families, you know, get the feeling and understand that even though they're not physically in the home with the child, that their presence is still there. You know, we're still talking with the children about their birth parents and expressing that, you know, their birth parents love them and, you know, want to see them. You know, we're making sure that the children make art projects to bring with them to visitations, just because the kids get really excited when they're, you know, making something for their parent. They get their eyes light up when they're making it and they're talking about, you know, things fun that they did with their parents. And then, you know, they get to present that to their parents every week at visitation, and, you know, the kids just love it, and it's a positive thing that they look forward to doing. We take pictures and make little photo albums to give parents each week so that they can still feel like they're there as much as possible. And obviously when the children first come into care, you know, we're making sure that we make phone calls and, you know, introduce ourselves. And, you know, a lot of times we have to ask questions, you know, to know what the child's used to and what their, you know, what foods they like, what foods they don't like. And then at the tail end of that, you know, we're making sure that we are working with the birth families so that the transition back into the home is more successful. You know, we're answering their questions and, you know, doing what we can to help them. We just want to make sure that there's open communication between the foster families and the birth families, because that's really building relationships for life. You know, there are several foster children that we've had that we still keep in contact with the birth families, and we still babysit for them from time to time. You know, we love having our children come back and, you know, babysit, or even, you know, because just like this past weekend, you know, a birth family, one of the children had surgery, and so we're like, we'll bring the kids over and they spend the night with us while the birth parents could focus on the child that was having the surgery. You know, we do things like that, and I think that's, you know, a lifelong goal of ours, is to continue to be in their lives. And then, you know, in the event, you know, that children can't go back in the home, we do have 4 adopted children. But because of that relationship that we built with their biological family, even though we have adopted them, we still have a relationship with them. We still see them from time to time. You know, they do join this adoptive thing where they're registry where they can get in touch with each other when they turn 18. But my husband and I just always felt like, you know, if they're not getting in touch with them until they're 18, that's so many years that have gone by of getting to know someone. So, you know, we still kept up contact, and they still have a relationship with their birth family because of the relationship that we developed while they were in foster care. And it's been a positive thing so far. So I just feel like as part of this council that it's very important to build the relationships. I don't think that the foster and birth families need to be at, you know, button heads or be at, you know, at odds with each other. We need to work together because, I mean, we're both, we both sides have valuable information to ensure the success of the child. So that's it.
Thanks, Christy. And you expressed that perfectly. And that's why we are so privileged to have Christy and the other parents on the Parent Advisory Council, because they understand the importance of working together with birth parents. And so, you know, I think that's going really well in our Parent Advisory Council. And I apologize, I did happen to see one of the questions come up. We do have 10 members now in our Parent Advisory Council, and that respect and that appreciation of birth and foster parents just makes that group work together so well. Lastly, quickly, I'm going to go through the challenges and lessons learned. Obtaining diverse representation. So we started off wanting to have birth parents, and by birth parent, I mean a birth parent who may have had involvement in the child welfare system, or parents who have just accessed prevention services in the community. So they haven't had involvement in the child welfare system, but maybe they took parenting classes or they participated in a home visiting program. We wanted to have the perspective from those parents as well. We wanted to have kin caregivers, we wanted to have dads, we wanted to have grandparents. And so we're still working on that. We want to have one parent per region in our state. And that's 14 regions in our state. So we have 4 more spots to recruit for, and we really like to get a dad. We had a dad, but he had so many other time commitments that he decided to step down because he didn't feel like he was able to commit the time that he wanted to. So we need to get another dad. We want to get a grandparent or another kin caregiver. So just focusing on maintaining that commitment to achieving a diverse representation on our Parent Advisory Council. And then, you know, Georgia is a pretty large state. Again, we have 14 regions within our Child Welfare Division. And we have mainly the middle of the state that we continue to recruit for. It was a little difficult recruiting those birth parents with prior Child Protective Services involvement. And talking to my colleagues around the state who work directly with children and families, a lot of the times when the families their cases were closed, there wasn't necessarily long-term communication between those parents and the case managers. And we require that a case must be closed for at least 8 months before a parent can apply to be on the Parent Advisory Council. So I have to admit that was a little bit of an issue, finding those parents after those cases were closed for 8 months to see if they were interested in joining or applying to join the Parent Advisory Council. One of our other kind of challenges is kind of balancing the statewide representation. You know, we get plenty of application from the Atlanta area, the Savannah area, those populous metro areas. But we really wanted to make sure, again, that we strive to get at least one Parent Advisory Council member per each region of the state. Another thing, a lesson learned that we discovered throughout our time is we had parents who were actually providers as well. And so we realized that it was important for us and important for the parents to make sure when they were attending meetings or representing the Parent Advisory Council that they kind of take off that provider hat and put on that parent hat and talk more about the experiences that they've had as a parent, as opposed to, although it's very important, those experiences that they had as a provider. And then lastly, one of the things that we're just now finishing working through is the guidelines for our honorariums or our stipends that we pay our parents to participate in different meetings and events on the behalf of the Parent Advisory Council. There were different types of events that came up, and we were kind of like, well, there are some other parents there and they're not getting paid, and how do we manage this? And when COVID happened and everything became virtual, how much do we pay for that? So just the specifics of determining how much we wanted to pay our Parent Advisory Councils for the things that they were doing. Because again, it is very important that we want to provide compensation to our parents because they are giving us their very important input that's very needed, and we want to compensate them for that. Just like as we work and we're compensated for giving our expertise, we want to do the same thing for our parents.
Well, that was a wonderful, wonderful presentation. First, I have to say thank you so much to the Birth Parent National Network member, Lindsay and Deidre. Thank you for representing and for sharing your voice and encouraging others to do the same. Is excellent. And Natalie, you have a great team. We have a couple of questions, but first, Kara's going to go over some real quick housekeeping / technical things. So let's give our attention to Kara for a second.
Thanks so much to Corey, and thank you to our Georgia team. I think one of the most beautiful things about your team is that real intentional work towards having a diverse representation on your council with birth parents and foster parents. I was super excited to be able to listen to each of you share and talk a little bit about your work that you've done. In terms of the technical assistance that the Alliance offers, it's very customized, meaning we come in and hear where you're at, who your partners are, what work it is you would like to accomplish, and then we go from there, building that and making it work. And that's why we've invited our Arizona and Arkansas teams back for this question and answer portion. And to Corey, I know there was a question that came in and you were going to send that, raise that question. Would you like to go ahead and do that now?
Sure. Got a question from Sandra Collette, one of our birth parent members, and she asked of defects, do you have any partners that are working on or have worked on or even thinking about an advisory council like the one that you all have?
If that question is related to other entities within the state that are, yes, there are other entities within the state that have or either want to have parent advisory councils. There are some of the local organizations that we fund that are looking into having their own parent advisory council for their organization. So yes, that is in our state, and we have offered to provide any help that we can provide, but we are the only kind of child welfare statewide parent advisory council.
Thank you for that answer, Natalie. And do remember, everyone, that we also have a couple of other states on board, so please feel free to ask some big questions or specific questions. We did get another question, and we've gotten this twice, so we'd like to hear about compensation. We're getting some questions as to how that works, what that process looks like. Does it include childcare? And this is for the parents on the advisory council. So feel free, Sue, or
yeah, I'll answer that. In fact, this just came up this week, so that's why we have set aside a specific funds to reimburse for child care, as well as with Natalie, the actual honorarium or some amount of money to be given to the parents for their participation at the meetings, as well as providing them meal and hotel and travel costs for those that are rural. One of the things that came up is there's been a change in leadership in the accounting department, and all of mine, just like Natalie, I'm using the community-based child abuse prevention funds. And one of the things came up around, we requested 3 times for those checks to get paid, and they did not, and I was not happy at all. And so I am very thankful that I have one of the parents that reminds me about things. And actually, we've been talking about having one of the parents kind of co-treasure to keep on. And I think it was when I was brushing the right side of my mouth one morning where I was like, why don't we have a parent doing this too with me, right? That, we have them leading our meeting, and we have them in subcommittees, and we're going to start paying them for the subcommittees. And so I really want to keep it real and not miss any payments. And I think those are something that I just automatically thought, oh, I submit the forms to our budget people and they just paid magically. And what I've learned is that there was a snafu. And so that's one of my lessons learned just this week.
Thanks for sharing that with us, Sue. And I think Kara has a question that she'd like to pose.
Yeah, so not only does our Georgia team work with birth and foster parents, but I know in our work with Arkansas, we originally started out with birth parents, but they are starting to do some neat things with foster parents as well. Letitia, would you like to speak to that a little bit?
So I'm with the Division of Children and Family Services, and so we have a parent advisory board that is made up of birth parents for our prevention and reunification unit. We also already have a foster parent advisory board and a foster youth advisory board. And we had thought about, actually originally we were going to do a foster parent birth parent advisory board together, and we decided that where we were in the state that we needed an advisory board that was focused on the voices of birth parents, knowing that we want to be able to work together. So Vanessa, who is on here, is on our council, and she's part of the BPNN and has met with one of our people on our foster parent advisory board. They went to, Vanessa, what conference did y'all go to last year together?
The Birth and Foster Parent Partnership.
Yeah, Letitia is speaking. She's about to go over there. So we have plans. COVID has kind of thrown a wrench in them. We've had a member of the foster parent advisory board come to one of our meetings, and we know some of the things that we want to start on, the comfort calls. We're kind of stalled at the moment because the foster parent advisory board has stopped meeting right now. So as soon as they pick back up, we're going to keep on doing our work, and then when they pick back up, we will join with them and do some joint projects.
Thank you for that answer, Letitia. We have a question really quickly that asked for some models. So Kathleen has asked, are there any models that employ parents full-time to lead this work?
And Bright?
Oh, sorry. This is the other Cara.
Go ahead.
I'm in North Carolina, and I support North Carolina's Child Welfare Family Advisory Council. I work with North Carolina State University, and we provide the infrastructure and the support around North Carolina's model. And we do actually have a family support specialist role that was built by design to be a family partner. Currently, that role is filled with a former kinship care provider, but it was designed to be either a biological parent or a kinship care provider, both who had previous experience with CPS specifically.
Thank you for sharing that. And I think too, with a lot of what we're doing with the Alliance's work is we are finding ways to bring parents alongside those working in different departments or divisions within their states. Vanessa, I wanted to bounce back to you real quick. Letitia mentioned how you had been at the BFPP, or the Birth and Foster Parent Partnership, convening last year. What is your takeaway from being able to be at an experience like that where birth and foster parents are together?
So yeah, and that was an awesome privilege. It was a privilege to be able to go to that. It was the first time of really kind of considering, the efforts between foster parents and birth parents, and how, you know, there are views on both sides, right? That kind of prevent that partnership from happening naturally as the system is designed right now. So it was really empowering to be in a room to really kind of work together with ideas, and then having the work group afterwards and working on, you know, how we can implement that in our own communities to start changing that mindset to where we're not on opposite sides and we are working together for that common goal of reunification of the family.
Thanks, Vanessa. Decoria.
Yes. I don't think we have any more questions. Is it time to hear from our friends in Oregon? This guy is one of my favorite people. I cannot say enough about how proud I am just to know this person. He's a member of the Birth Parent National Network. I think he is awesome all the way. Timothy Phipps is going to talk to us about what is going on in Oregon with the Oregon Parent Advisory Council.
Corey, you're always so incredibly kind, and it's actually my pleasure to know you. You're amazing. I appreciate the intro. What I'm going to do is I'm going to hand it over to Brittany, who is the facilitator of the Parents Advisory Council in Oregon, and she'll take it from there. Brittany?
Thank you, Tim. Hi, thanks for having us today. We are going to briefly share a bit about the Oregon Parent Advisory Council. As Tim said, I'm a facilitator for the Parent Advisory Council in Oregon. And we have existed for 5 years, building relationships and partnerships with the last 5 child welfare directors that we've had in Oregon and the current director of all of DHS. And our Parent Advisory Council is built of 12 members. All members are birth parents who've had child welfare cases and are in recovery from substance use. And so we have 12 seats in Oregon for parents across the state. It's a statewide council, and 2 facilitators. The decisions that are made in the Parent Advisory Council, it's a shared leadership process, a democratic process. So I'm actually the only person on the council who is not a parent myself. So it's up to them to make a lot of the decisions. I have with me today Michael and Stacy. They're Parent Advisory Council members and have been for quite a time, longer than me. And so Michael's going to share a bit about kind of a brief overview of some of the accomplishments of the Parent Advisory Council. And Stacy is going to talk about our current efforts with reforming joint response. And I wanted to give a quick definition of joint response. Oregon calls joint response when law enforcement agencies and CPS workers go to homes together. And we specifically are addressing when police and CPS workers go to remove children together and asking for a reform to have less police involved in that process for families. So Stacy will talk about our work we're currently doing with that. And I'll hand it over to Michael.
Hi everybody, my name is Michael Simmons. I've been with the Parent Advisory Council since 2016. My clean date is August 17th, 2012. I have 3 step kiddos, 1 with high needs that lives in the home with me, and I have 2 biological daughters. And I also have a new grandbaby. So some of the accomplishments for the Parent Advisory Council are that we provided child welfare supervisors and program managers with trainings. We've sat on advisory boards and committees for new projects, trainings, and systems development. We provided parent voice for all new resource families in Oregon. We sat on hiring committees for child welfare leadership positions. We worked on legislative child welfare family first in Oregon. And we've also worked towards getting cell phones for all caseworkers to help bridge that gap between communication with bio parents and caseworkers, so that we could make sure with a lot of the new generation of the younger parents coming into the child welfare system that like to use texting to be able to bridge that gap in communication and help with reunification with kiddos and families. Now I'll turn it over to Stacy.
Hello, my name is Stacey Rivera. We're stoked to be here and share a little bit with you guys. I have been a PAC member since 2015. My clean date is 10/28 of 09, and I am a mother of 6 children. You know, just to touch a little bit about joint response, you know, we've been able to really come together and talk a lot about this since the pandemic, and how much the police brutality is affecting our families of disproportionality and impacting our families of color. And so just checking in like with everybody around, like the long-term trauma that is caused to the parents and the children, you know, the PTSD that they're left with when someone, even if it's not the police that knocked hard at the door, you know, it's just that traumatic feeling of, you know, what had happened, which is, you know, when the kids are removed and it's the worst day of a parent's life. So to start off, we were able to provide testimony to leadership about this area and how it felt. And we were able to prepare 10 parents to do testimonies to program and branch managers in Oregon in July. PAC members were able to brainstorm around solutions to use less police intervention. So a lot of the stuff that was brought up of like, we have parents that wish they had DV advocates, or a parent mentor, a peer, another social worker, someone instead of police, you know, because it's so traumatizing to the children and the parents, and it leads, you know, to people not wanting to ask for help when it's truly needed. And for the last result, we were able to get statewide hotline in Oregon to no longer call police when they are doing welfare checks for families. So that was a huge thing that took place, the one that happened just recently, and we just barely started talking about this. So they're not sending hotline calls, aren't calling police to go do the welfare checks. So we are very excited for that.
Yeah, they're gonna send CPS workers
Yes.
instead in place, law enforcement. So thank you so much for having us to share a little about our work. It's so exciting to get to hear from other states and what you all are doing. I wish every state got to have a parent advisory council.
And we wish very much the same, Brittany, and thanks Oregon for bringing that to us. Thank you so much for what you're doing for families and children out there. We need you, and keep up the good work. We've heard from all of the BPNN members except for Jeremiah Caldwell in Arizona. So we'd like to give you a second, Jeremiah, just to say hi and kind of what you do out there.
Hi, thank you, Takoria. Yeah, I'm one of the Parent Prevention Advisory Collaborative members here in Arizona. And I was super proud that we were able to get a tab on the DCS website here. And actually, if you join by phone, it's the first tab that's available that you see. It lists some different resources for parents, and also has a link to our tab, the Prevention Advisory Collaborative.
Jeremiah, that is amazing, and thank you so much. And
Takoria, this is Meryl, and I just wanted to check in and see for the Oregon folks, because it was this was kind of a special privilege that we ended up being able to add them to the agenda today. So we were happy to have them be able to come on. And I did want to just make sure that the audience didn't have any questions of them before we do close out. We've got a very short period of time before we're going to close out. And I think one of the pieces that, you know, that the Oregon folks have pointed out to us, and certainly Georgia has too, but are just the varied kinds of changes and outcomes that are happening now all across the state because parent voices are really being heard. And however they are going in terms of direction, it's varying from state to state, but it's very clear that the voices are making a difference. Parent voices are really out there, and they're addressing whatever are the pressing needs for those particular states or communities. And I just wanted to make sure there wasn't another question or two related to Oregon, because this was really special that we ended up being able to add it at the end of the program today. And that's not to take away from all of the other wonderful information and wealth of rich information that we've gotten from Georgia today, as well as having heard from Arizona and Arkansas at our first council. So
Takora, this is Sandra from New York. I would be very interested to know just a little more about how you, Stacy, the parents got the no knock by the police for the child welfare through the hotline. That is very, very impressive.
So from what I know, I don't know if Brittany can answer this better, but we were able to get parents and even some of our PAC members who have experienced that trauma and bring it to the director of child welfare. And I mean, our voices were just heard. We meet monthly now with the director, and we just really started talking about it due to the pandemic, and it took a turn real quick. And we prepped other parents to share their experience, and it just happened. So I don't know, Brittany, if you have anything else to add to that.
Yeah, one of the members of the Parent Advisory Council is on a Family First work group. It's a policy and practice sub work group, and one of the co-chairs of that group is manager of the hotline, the statewide hotline. And so I think that conversation has continued because we met with all the program managers as well. It continued in these different areas. And it was in that work group, I think, that that conversation continued to happen, where the people that were able to have the authority to make that decision. So a lot about having those continued lasting relationships, I think, with people in power positions to make the change.
So Brittany, did it just happen?
Yeah, this July that we've just made this change. Yeah, so there's also, of course, a national context with Black Lives Matter, and Portland Public Schools has stopped working with police in Oregon, as well as resource officers in schools. So the other movements, for sure.
Yes, that work is so wonderful, and we're so glad to be a part of it. And as we wrap this up, I really want to encourage birth parents, foster parents, especially you organizations and agency reps, to please join us. We need your voices. We need the parent voice to resound at places that we can't quite get into yet. And as you can see, as Oregon made it very clear, this is how things happen. So please do join the BPNN. All that information is right there. And then I'm going to slide through the rest of these slides. I'm going to turn it over to Edward.
Just a quick reminder, we have one more webinar scheduled on October 22nd, and then we'll wrap up the year with our 6th annual BPNN virtual convening. And then remember, if you're unable to join us, we do record all webinars, and you can access them on the website under BPNN. Kara?
Thanks so much, Edward. And there's going to be a lot of different things happening. As you hear, things are happening and changing fast. One of the other ways that you can get your voice raised up is Family Voices United. They have podcasts that you can check out in addition to share your perspective questions that are put out monthly. And these are opportunities where you can share what is happening, what it's like right now in your community, getting that parent voice elevated and nice and strong. It's what needs to be heard by organizations, policymakers, and everyone. And these are great opportunities outside of the BPNN. But by being connected to us, we'll be able to share this information with you by email once you become connected with us. In addition, we really hope that if you are a BPNN member, that you can join us for our weekly caring conversations. They are held every Monday at 10 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Mountain Time, 12 p.m. Central, 1 p.m. Eastern. You can register there. And then we also have the link for the Touchpoint parent request if you would like to have that peer support. Again, these are special things that are geared towards our BPNN members. So we really encourage you, join this powerful network, be a part of making the change, be a part of elevating what families need and how things are going. And last but not least, I'm gonna let Meryl close us out for today. It has been a pleasure to have you all with us, and thank you from the bottom of my heart for all our teams that were able to join us. Meryl?
So thank you, Kara. And I just wanted to say a very big thank you to all of the wonderful presenters today. I especially want to say thank you to the Georgia folks who really gave us a deep dive into really what it's like in terms of challenges as well as successes, ways to really build a strong parent advisory council. Both of these webinars are recorded and will be up on our website. The first one already is. It was a really special treat to add on a fourth council today. And so thank you so much for the Oregon folks. And it was great to also be able to bring back our Arkansas and Arizona folks as well on today's call. So I do want to say thank you everyone. And we look forward to having you join us for our next webinar. Thank you all and have a great day. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.
Enjoy your Thursday.
Thank you all.